Hey everybody, Justin from Playing Board Games here, and today I have a quick video for you guys that's all about my preliminary thoughts on The Edge of the Earth. When I say preliminary, I mean incredibly preliminary. We've played only 2 scenarios, so we've played very little. However, to be completely honest with you guys, I actually have not been able to stop thinking about this campaign since we played it last Wednesday, and I've just been craving more. I've been legitimately very excited about Arkham Horror in a way that I haven't been as excited about it since we played Path to Carcosa years and years and years ago on this channel for the first time. So because of that, I've been thinking a lot about the Edge of the Earth campaign, and I've wanted to make a video talking about what I really enjoy about it in both a spoiler-free and a spoiler way for the people who don't want to be spoiled. They have a section about that, and then for the people who do want to be spoiled, or the people who have already played it, it's a place for us to talk about that. So this is only the first 2 scenarios, and really it's I'll get to that. First off, I want to say the theme of this campaign has been absolutely incredible so far. I'm a huge fan of the stories where people are in a space and things start going wrong. One of the episodes of X-Files that always scared the crap out of me is when they found the bug or the ancient bacteria or whatever it was frozen in the ice. It's a theme that's constant and very common throughout this kind of storytelling, where you unearth something ancient and things start going to crap really quick. And what makes matters worse, the fact that they're isolated and trapped there, is just even cooler. And this campaign, even just in the first 2 scenarios, is oozing with that flavor. And absolutely oozing. There is a dread for me in this campaign that hasn't been hit by any campaign at all. Like, the Forgotten Age feels pulpy. Path to Carcosa makes you question your sanity. Dream Eaters is a bit fantastic, right? Circle Undone exists. Innsmouth feels like an action movie, right? Dunwich is you're solving a mystery. If I had to give Circle Undone an actual proper word for it, you kind of just feel like in that one you kind of just feel like you're a pawn, right? You're going along for a story and you're kind of just witnessing a story. Right now, in the first 2 scenarios, it just feels an overwhelming sense of dread in this one. And that's my favorite. It's my absolute favorite thing. I can't say if that's going to continue throughout the whole thing, because obviously I've only played 2 scenarios, and it's kind of crazy to be talking about this campaign with only 2 scenarios, but that's why it's preliminary thoughts, and also, as I stated earlier, my absolute excitement for this campaign. I cannot wait to play more with Travis and Bryn on Wednesday. Back to that dread. The situation really helps. So the story is, as everyone knows, there's an expedition to Antarctica, to the edge of the Earth, and things just go bad. They discover stuff, they are warned in advance, and then things just go bad. This is spoiler-free, by the way. This is just what we knew. I'm not going to say what those bad things are, but as you can see from the art, it's definitely not normal. It's definitely not normal. We also know that there are some expedition members that we can get as part of our group, and that when the story, which is the biggest intro written for one of these campaigns, and that's where the advantage of this new format comes in, where they have this beautiful spiral-bound book that allows more writing to put in. And it also makes it more immersive, I think. While it's something that I'm not going to read every time, just listening to Travis's reading of it was really cool. It introduces all 9 characters. I believe there's 9. 1, 2, I don't want to put them on camera because this is still the spoiler-free zone of this video, but it introduces all 9 characters very well in a way that you begin to become attached to all of them. They all have their own personalities and agendas and motives for all this and why they're doing this and how they react to other people. Is really, really good. I think the writing on this one and the setup on this one is easily the best that they've done with this game. And that also, if that's what this new format and release style brings, I am incredibly excited to see what comes in the future of this game. I think this is... I'm just so hyped. And like, I don't like to live in hype because if you get someone's expectations up, it kind of just... You can let someone down. But to me, I'm incredibly hyped for this. When we played on Wednesday, we had a great time. It just felt like old Arkham. It was really good. I'm going to get into the spoiler stuff soon, but I just want to say that there's a lot of things that work really well in this. And I'm going to say, we're going to get into the spoiler stuff now. So if you want to go, get the heck out of here. Get out of spoiler zone, because we're about to go into spoiler city. I'm going to start talking about things. And for comments down below, you might want to avoid them. I'm not going to sure if people are going to post spoilers, but I don't want you to be spoiled. So if you don't want to be spoiled, get the heck out of here. This is your last warning. Okay. Let's dive in and start with what I think is the best setup to one of these campaigns. So we got introduced to 9 characters, right? Super cool. They're all really awesome people. You love all of them. And then one of them dies in the plane crash. So you're flying into the expedition site, and then the plane crashes because I believe a monster knocks it out of the sky. And then you randomly draw one of the 9 allies, and they're just gone from your story. They're just gone from it right away before you even get into any gameplay. This is awesome for a multitude of reasons. From a game design standpoint, it provides variance to the story as you guys are playing, right? So maybe an important character is killed early. Maybe a character that you've grown fond of dies in the plane crash in the first one, right? So now in your second playthroughs, you're kind of forced in a way to build bonds with new characters, which is really cool. And it also changes the abilities that you have access to as the game goes. This is like the coolest thing. The design on this, the choice for this is incredible. Doubling up on this, another thing it does from a storytelling standpoint, it immediately puts in dread. You're like, oh, they're just gone, right? So like in a lot of these other ones, the whole idea is that you want to protect these people and keep them safe, and like, you can't. Someone is just going to die here. You randomly roll it, and it could be the character that Bryn, Travis, and I agreed that we're going to protect to the ends of the earth. We're going to protect him till the ends of the earth. But he could just go. And it also imparts onto the player the fact that these people are, they'll die. The assets could potentially just be gone. They're always at a risk. So when you bring them into an adventure, and you are now faced with the decision of whenever you take damage, do I put it on them or do I not put it on them? It provides a great storytelling aspect that goes beyond just the game. So when we got to the end of a scenario and we didn't put any damage or horror on our allies, we said, way to go, we're the best. Because you feel like you're responsible for them in a way that you normally don't care, right? Like when the security guard or the museum curator dies in Miskatonic Museum, the only thing you're thinking is, dang, sucks that we have to put a tablet in for the rest of the game or whatever the effect was. But with this one, it now carries into the greater story. And of course, once again, I'll say that this is only 2, so this could change. This could change as it goes. But right now, as you can see, I'm talking about it so much. I'm so freaking hyped. I'm so freaking hyped. So one of them's dead. We get to the first scenario. It should be no secret that on this channel, we're not crazy big fans of Heart of the Elders Part 1. The intention of it was really cool, but it lacked a little bit of that thing that made it just feel good. They nailed it. It's like the designers looked at the issues that the community generally had with Heart of the Elders and said, how can we do that and get that feel while making it better, right? And they did. I think they absolutely knocked it out of the park. So how it works is this is a checkpoint system. Ice and Death, the first scenario, can be broken into 3 scenarios. So like it is scenario 1, but it's a scenario 1 part 1, 1 part 2, 1 part 3. In my mind, in my headspace, these are 3 scenarios. Ice and Death is really broken down into 3 scenarios. However, the map you play with and how it works and how you interact with it carries over from one to the other in a very elegant way. So for reference, for people who don't know, you start at the crash site, and as you explore, more map locations are revealed, and then at the end of each scenario, if you want to keep playing, you just keep playing with that same map, you go to the next part, or alternatively, you can just take a snapshot of it and know which locations are revealed, and also which locations are not revealed. This carries over from scenario to scenario in Ice and Death Part 1, 2, and 3, and I imagine it will with the other scenario that has multiple parts in this campaign. So what that does then is just say, for example, you revealed some of the locations, but you didn't reveal like these big ones that require a lot of clues to get into. They're still going to be locked down in future scenarios. However, what that means is that you can get those on further attempts, which is kind of really cool because the flavor for me is that you're scouting this big area and you're making discoveries, like you find these crystalline caverns or whatever they are. And your thought process isn't, hey, you're kind of like noting it, like, guys, there's a crystalline cavern over there, we should maybe try to explore it. So then you gather the supplies, the resources, find the entrance in, and then you find that location. I'm not looking at this one because I actually haven't seen the revealed side of Crystalline Cavern yet, so I'm going to keep that a little secret from me. So then this means that on our first scenario, we only really revealed this corner situation, and this is where we set up camp, which I'm going to take a small step back and looking at camping for a second. However, on the next one, we were able to reveal some of the other ones that we did not get, so we were exploring the same area and discovering new things. Super elegant, super cool, super flavorful. In the first scenario as well, I really like the shelter mechanic, where this is where we sheltered, where you can, the goal is to find shelter. That's your only goal for the first one. As soon as you find a place that's good enough, you can stop there. But they say the higher number, the better, and that is true. And I'm looking forward to replay-throughs to find different shelters and see the small way that impacts the story. It's not going to impact it in a big way, but I just for the first 2 scenarios, once again, I'm talking with kind of this idea of what could happen, not what is happening or what has happened. Okay, Ice and Death Part 2 does a great storytelling thing as well. Some of your crew goes missing, and you have to find them in the cold wastes. So there are enemy versions of all of them in here. So and they each have to. You're given the choice between killing them, I suppose ignoring them, or talking them out of their craze. Something in our Discord channel, I said that there's a film on Netflix called The Ritual, a horror movie, where at the end of the first act, all the characters go to sleep inside of a cabin, and when they wake up, it just goes absolutely nutters. The dread is palpable. It's dripping through the screen as they all just realize this is bad, something bad is happening. That's the feeling that I got from this part 2, where this is the realization, not even in the sense of the cosmic monsters that show up, but more in the sense that something is here and it's affecting all of us. Really cool. Really cool story. The story of it, man, I just loved it. It also works really well because mechanically it's really simple. In these first 2 scenarios in Edge of the Earth, the focus is on the narrative, right? The gameplay itself is rather simple, which is perfect because, I mean, actually earlier today we recorded a horror in high gear, and that one like has such a cool theme, but it's bogged down, in my opinion, in the gameplay. This one works really elegantly all over. Of course, you could say, oh, but Justin, you're trying to do different things. The goal is different, and while that is true, we're just looking at that as the game of Arkham Horror. So from here on out, I have not gone further. We've only done the first 2 scenarios. But going back to the fact that, as I said, you have the choice to either like fight them, run away, or save them, you feel compelled to save them. Even with us, when we had one of them we weren't able to save, it's just like such a freaking bummer, right? Like, it's like, dang, that character is gone and dead because of us. We weren't able to save them. And it further adds to the feel that I think that this campaign is so far knocking out of the park. I'm just hyped, man. I can't wait to play more on Wednesday. I'm not done yet for the video. I still have some more things I wanted to talk about. Some people might be curious about the Tekka-Li-Li deck and my thoughts on that. To be completely real with you guys, I did not shuffle one of these into my deck when we played. Bryn and Travis put a lot in, and the effects on them seem pretty fair. And I like the flavor of it too, because these all have the subcategory Madness. They each have a different effect when you draw them, and they stay in your deck from scenario to scenario. It really is kind of that, like, something is invading your very being. And that's kind of like, from what I've gathered, seems to be the theme so far in this campaign. And I think the Tekka-Li-Li deck is a really cool way of doing it. It is a little bit unfortunate and a little bit harder for us because, you know, when you're playing with sleeves and we all bring our own sleeves, we have to keep sleeving them up and then shuffling them in our deck. But I do think that overall, it's a cool mechanic, and the effects are all pretty minor. Sometimes, like, Travis would get the one which is like, place one of your clues on your location, and basically just eats a card draw. And then sometimes you can get like a discard an asset you control, and when that's me, that's my one asset, and now I'm suddenly ruined and I'm going to die. Yeah, I just think the Tekka-Li-Li deck is cool. I'm curious, I'm interested to see, drawing one for myself, how I feel in the moment. Because as I said, I haven't gone through that situation yet. And, yeah. Why don't we just take a quick, brief look at some of these encounter cards that aren't just the generic ones. Some stuff, they do bring it. They are bringing it. I think that overall, the difficulty for the first 2 scenarios is pretty standard. Maybe even a little bit easy. Maybe a bit easier than hard. However, the enemies, they don't mess around. When you defeat them, you shuffle Tekka-Li-Lis in. When they attack you, sometimes you have to shuffle Tekka-Li-Lis in. And then there's some cards that are like, I don't have them all sleeved, and I don't want to go too much through them because I'd hate to be spoiled for something. But there's like an attachment that on a location lowers all your stats. There's an attachment that if you discover a clue, you have to discard all your cards, which is like fantastic design to counteract Travis's whole game plan. Super spicy, super fun. Also gives big value into read the signs. I believe anyway that's how that should work. I could be dumb and just get that wrong, but that's my thought on it. And then there's this one, which I also think is really cool, and it's only for Ice and Death. It's a Test Brain X, where X is your location shelter value. If you fail, you must decide, choose one. Take 1 horror for each point you fail by. Place 2 clues on your location, or add a Frost token to the Chaos bag. Frost tokens. This card has, it hits pretty hard on all of them. And the Frost tokens are another form of that menacing dread that I was talking about earlier. It's kind of just this scary thing where the colder it gets, the more risk of danger you are. I feel like I'll have a better way to talk about the frost tokens by the end of the campaign. I'll be able to talk more, but I think I've hit the end of my pile of things to talk about. So honestly, that made me feel good. I just had to talk for 20 minutes about this campaign and how hyped it's making me for Arkham. I love this game and I love talking about this game, but this one is something else for me personally. I can't say if the same is going to happen for you, but for me, it's freaking great and I can't wait to play more. This is a very different video than anything else we have really done on this channel. However, if you kind of like this, kind of me sharing my retrospective thoughts on what I've played, let me know in the comments because I can make more. I like talking about this game and I will keep talking about this game. So if you want to see more of this, kind of like maybe even like at a midpoint through the campaign, I can make another video discussing it. Let me know in the comments what you think because I'd love to make it. Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. I want to do a quick shout out to all of our patrons. You guys freaking rock. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for helping us get to our new pledge goal, adding an additional stream day in the week. You guys all are just the greatest people in the world. If you want to join our Patreon, down in the description you can find a link to the Patreon page. Get a bunch of exclusive posts, comment on things to shape our content, and then also join in on Patreon game days when those happen. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.